Welcome to episode 127. Are you ready for the adventure of a lifetime? No matter your destination, the travel specialists at 3D Travel Company are there to help. Just head on over to my website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click the Book Now button on the left-hand side to get your free quote today.
Welcome to Who Did That Voice, the show where we take an in-depth look at voiceover. And now, here's your host, Trenton Larkin.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the show. Today we are going to be speaking about our special guest in just a brief moment, but I wanted to thank each and every one of my listeners around the globe for making Who Did That Voice what it is today. Now, today's special guest is the voice of Marco Diaz from Disney's Star vs. the Forces of Evil. He's also the Mon Calamari Prince during the Star Wars era of the Clone Wars on Star Wars The Clone Wars, where he plays Prince Lee Char, the Mon Calamari Prince to the throne. So I hope you guys enjoy these clips and today's interview with our extremely and very special guest. I hope you all enjoy.
Hey, Star! I thought you liked clowns. Sorry. Hey, Star! Up here! Watch this. I'm gonna... I can't do this. Star.
How did you know my name?
It's me, Marco.
Marco? What are you doing here?
Let's get out of here. This place is the worst.
I am dedicated to serving the Quarren, as well as my own people, the Mon Calamari.
You are right, Captain. I am not trained to lead an army.
Come on, Your Highness. We have a war to win.
Ladies and gentlemen,
boys and girls,
welcome to Who Did That Voice?
In just a moment, the show will begin. So please, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Who Did That Voice? Today, I am super excited to be bringing you an interview with the very distinguished and very articulate Adam McArthur. Adam, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. There was a lot of pressure right here to sound distinguished and to, not stutter over my words or anything like that. You set me up.
Oh, man. I just like to give my introductions, my guests a really nice introduction when they come on the show and, put the pressure on. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like this is a good opportunity for you to set people up. On my show today, I've got Adam McArthur. He always opens with a hilarious joke. Adam, take it away. And then I'm, what?
Yeah. Adam, thank you so much for giving me your time today, man. The very first thing we like to do when we have a guest on the show is just to get to know them a little bit better on a more personal level so that both I and my listeners around the world can get to know you on a more personal level and get to feel closer to you as they listen to your projects and the video games you voice and just anything that you're a part of from now until the end of time. So tell me, Adam, about little Adam McArthur, the young boy who grew into the man he is today, and how did he become an actor?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I've always wanted to be an actor. Some of my earliest memories, two things. I always tell people this. Two of my earliest memories are wanting to do Kung Fu, and the other one is wanting to have an agent.
Nice.
So I always begged my parents to let me do martial arts, put me in class, to put me in acting class, to help me get auditions. I have no idea how I even knew what that stuff was, and I don't know if I saw it on a TV show or what, but I would always ask them to do those two things. And when I was 16, I finally got put in my first sort of acting class. And I had done talent shows and all that kind of stuff growing up. I definitely liked to perform and to be on stage and all that stuff. But I got put in my first acting class when I was 16. And that place was up in Northern California. I grew up in the San Francisco area. And the teacher and the / owner of that acting school, which was then called Kids on Camera, might even still be called that now, Judy Berlin, a call came across her desk or, her phone, and they needed some young sounding teenage boys, and she submitted me for the audition. I read for it, and it ended up being 30 Macy's radio commercials.
Holy cow.
That I booked. Yeah. So that was sort of my first professional job. It's how I got into the union. And then from there, it kind of I just kept at it.
Well, it just snowballed, man. You got like an avalanche of a career off of one audition. You got like 30 different commercials or promos. That's ridiculously awesome.
Yeah. It was incredibly lucky. You know, a lot of people ask me like, hey, I'm looking to get into the union. You know, I want to join SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
Well, how did you do it? And I'm like, I had it way too easy. I got really lucky. It just kind of happened. I don't even know that I knew what SAG or AFTRA was. They weren't together when I joined. But I don't even know if I knew what they were.
Yeah.
When I was, first starting out.
You just wanted to act. That's all you knew.
But yeah, exactly. Yeah. I just wanted to do the thing.
That's awesome. Well, so you talked about being a young boy, knowing that you wanted to do martial arts and acting. So what age were you about when you kind of came to that realization?
I mean, it is like some of my earliest memories. So
okay.
I can remember, watching Ninja Turtles and we couldn't afford the Disney Channel because it used to be this like paid subscription thing. It was kind of like, I would assume like what HBO and Showtime are now, like you have to pay extra to get into your package. When I was a kid. So I would always watch like the Disney Channel shows when we had the free previews, and I just loved it. I knew that I wanted to do that.
That's awesome.
So gosh, maybe like 5 or 6.
Wow. That's really young, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of mentioned another thing that kind of brought something to mind was you mentioned Ninja Turtles. I absolutely loved Ninja Turtles. And so when you were a kid, what were some of your other favorite animations besides Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that you loved watching?
Gosh. Okay. Well, I loved G.I. Joe,
awesome.
Thundercats, He-Man. I mean, He-Man was always special because, Prince Adam. And then, one of my babysitters always used to call me that.
That's
she
awesome.
loved He-Man. Yeah. Literally all the typical 80s cartoons. Gosh, what else? Scooby-Doo is in there. And then, a little bit later on, what else? Gosh, Transformers, Mask.
All excellent shows.
All the other, all the quintessential 80s cartoons. Even the classics like Looney Tunes and Flintstones and all those too. Pretty much anything and everything I could watch.
I'm a huge cartoon nerd, so I totally get you.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
I love it.
Well, Adam, speaking of Disney, it's been really cool because you've actually been able to star on one of Disney's most popular shows right now called Star versus the Forces of Evil, where you voice a character named Marco Diaz. Now, say I'm a guy or gal listening to the show and I have no idea about the show. Tell me a little bit about Star versus the Forces of Evil and your character Marco Diaz in that universe.
Cool. So basically the show is about a princess from another dimension who comes to Earth, sort of as like a foreign exchange student of sorts.
Cool.
The family she's staying with is a mom, a dad, and a son. I voice the son. That's Marco. They become fast friends, and from the journey from like season 1 through season 3, which we just had our season finale not too long ago, and we are already recording season 4, so there's more episodes coming.
Awesome.
We kind of see them go from Earth back to her home dimension through all these other dimensions and just on adventures fighting bad guys. We learn a lot of the lore of the series, which is really cool. And then Marco is he's like this safe kid. He likes to play by the rules. He's really smart, but he's also, he's 14. He's your typical 14-year-old where, he's, whenever there's ladies around, he's trying to impress the ladies, but he's also trying to keep his cool and manage all the emotions that he's dealing with when he likes someone one second and doesn't like him the next second and all this stuff. And Star is very much the rebel princess, throws caution to the wind. So when you got the safe kid and then the rebel who's just like, yanking you into adventure, it makes for a really fun time. Plus the world in general of the show is a lot of fun, and all the other characters that we meet kind of along the way really just make the show so much fun.
Absolutely. Well, I was actually watching some clips last night and I was busting a gut, man. Like it's so freaking hilarious. They have done such an amazing job with that show. And I wasn't very familiar with it at first, but it's definitely one that I want to sit down and watch from beginning to end because it is super hilarious. I highly recommend it from the bits that I have seen, whoever's out there listening. You guys should check it out. Adam is in that as Marco Diaz, one of the main stars of the show. And it's just super funny, super good time. And I think it's an amazing animation that I can't wait to dive into personally. So I hope you guys out there will too. But Adam, thank you so much for diving into that, man. I mean, for you growing up as a Disney kid, as much as you could snatch onto it here and there without having the paid subscription growing up, it's got to be such an honor for you to now be working for Disney once again.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. I mean, it's what I always dreamed of. It's literally, I hope one day that I'm on a show that people really respond to and really like. And the fandom of this show is insane. And working for Disney has been amazing. Everyone from, the crew is massive. But everybody that I've met and I've at this point, the show's been on, I've been working on it since 2013. So, wow. I've had the I've been fortunate enough to meet a lot of the crew and a lot of people who work on it behind the scenes. And, Darren, the creator, she's incredible. She really kind of sets the tone. I mean, the tone for the vibe of the crew starts definitely with her and trickles down, and everybody just loves each other. It's a great big family. Kelly, who is he's the voice director of the show. He's incredible. Everybody at like Disney TV Animation casting is incredible. They work tirelessly, just not only just in casting the shows, but once, since being on the show, they do a lot to take care of me and just make sure that I'm having a good time and that I'm being treated right and all this stuff. Everybody just works together really nicely. So, they've got it down. And yeah, it's been really amazing working for Disney.
Man, that's awesome to hear that story of how it's such a family environment and such a fun time, because I think when people realize those kind of things behind the scenes, Adam, it just brings to light why the show seems so fun, because you guys are truly having fun behind the scenes. It really correlates that way. And hearing these background stories really helps, for me, when I watch something, the next time I watch a Star, versus the Forces of Evil, it makes it more special for me or whatever project I'm watching that you've been on or other actors, because then you feel more of a connection with them and it makes it so much closer than it could have ever been without hearing these stories from our special guests.
Yeah, totally. And for Star too, I mean, the fandom is so active on social media. I mean, anytime we have like a mid-season finale or a season finale or a premiere, I mean, we're trending on Tumblr and like the number one trending, topic on Tumblr and all that stuff. It's a very social media heavy show. And I will say the cool part too about the crew and the cast and everybody who's working on the show is they are so in tune with the fans, and the fans are so in tune with what they're doing that it really, I mean, it's a family in the sense of like, the people working on the show are a family.
Yeah.
But the fandom as a whole, including the cast and crew, has really made Star vs. the Forces of Evil a very unique experience for me, and I'm sure for, the crew, the fandom, everybody kind of who loves the show.
Absolutely, man. Well, that is super epic. Thank you so much for diving into Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And, the next thing we're going to talk about is another topic that I'm a huge fan of, that now Disney owns the rights to through the selling of Lucasfilm. Adam, you were able to be on a show that I love to death, Star Wars: The Clone Wars. And what was it like for you to get to be on this Emmy award-winning show? Star Wars: The Clone Wars, actually getting to voice Princely Char, who was the heir to the Mon Calamari throne.
Yeah, that was an incredible experience. That was probably one of my first sort of bigger recurring roles on a show that obviously already had some notoriety going into it. That when I found out I booked it. Okay, well, actually, this is a funny one because I auditioned for this show, and it had a secret title. Like I didn't know that it was Star Wars.
That's cool.
My character's name was Charlie when I auditioned.
Okay.
then I found out I booked it, got told where to go, and I didn't know that it was Star Wars Clone Wars or that it was even a multiple episode arc until I got to the studio to record it.
Oh, nice.
And one of the production assistants came out of the booth and met me in the lobby and handed me a piece of paper and super friendly, welcomed me. She was like, "Have a seat. We'll be with you in a few minutes. Go ahead and, like the usual, get some water, take a load off." So I sit down and I'm holding this piece of paper. And I look down, and it says, "Dear Mr. McArthur, on the behalf of George Lucas, we would like to welcome you to the Star Wars family." And at that moment, there was a full page of text after that. I can't remember. I couldn't tell you what that said. That moment, I was like, "Oh my gosh, how is this happening right now?" Total freak out, but of course,
total fanboy,
playing it cool. Probably got my feet up on the table and acting like it's no big deal.
Oh, that's funny.
D. Bradley Baker and James Arnold Taylor just chilling next to me. I'm like, "Hey guys, yeah, I belong here."
That's awesome.
So that was very cool. And then actually, it wasn't even until I was in the booth recording that Dave Filoni was like, "Yeah, man, this arc is going to be great." And I was like, "Arc? Oh, so there's more than one episode?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, you're going to be," I think I did 3 episodes of Clone Wars. So yeah, it was super surreal. Especially like now that Disney owns Lucasfilms and all that stuff. What, like we're going to see in the next however many years of this like world, and just it's going to be massive. So it was really awesome.
Well, the Clone Wars was always one of my absolute favorite eras. And, they had originally done a show called just Star Wars Clone Wars, which was kind of this, they weren't sure what they were doing. They originally had like these little promos, and then it turned into like a mini cartoon series. And then I think it actually spawned Star Wars The Clone Wars because people loved it so much. And both were really good, but Star Wars The Clone Wars was just done in an amazing way. I love the CG animation. I love how the characters were done. And I always wanted to know more about the Clone Wars because, the second movie, Attack of the Clones, starts off with the creation of the army, and then the third movie, and I'm totally blanking, and I'm a Star Wars fan. I know that's horrible, but the third movie, I'm not even going to attempt it because I don't remember. But, the third movie starts up and we're at the end of the wars, and I'm like, like the whole thing we've heard from 4, 5, and 6 is the Clone Wars, and you don't get to see the Clone Wars. So it was really cool that they did this animated show because it gave us a chance to really see what the Clone Wars were all about. And your arc was pretty dang fantastic, being underwater, seeing lightsabers underwater. It was just like, some really cool aspects that really had not been delved into at any point in the feature films to date, so which is really cool.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it was a huge learning experience.
Yeah.
Acting wise, and just being in an ensemble that the level of talent in that ensemble and the voice actors of that show was incredible. But it was like exactly what you said. Exploring a world that hadn't been previously explored in the Star Wars universe was very cool, and super cool that they did it in on a Cartoon Network show. So. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some other shows that you've gotten to work on, one of the shows is called The LeBrons. Then you were also on the Emmy Award-winning show, The Adventures of Puss in Boots. And you've also been on the video game Final Fantasy Type O. Is it Type O or Type 0? I'm not sure how they... Do you know?
I think it's Type 0.
I think it's Type 0, but I wasn't sure. But anyway, so you've gotten a voice for those different projects as well. So you've definitely gotten your feet wet in a different variety of things, from video games to animations to promos and beyond, which is really cool that you've had an experience in different genres of voiceover itself.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's all nuanced in its technique, but it's all fundamentally very, very similar.
Yeah.
I would say, with the exception of promo. Promo was kind of its own beast, and a lot of people don't know, but I actually do a lot of the voice of the Disney XD channel. So like the coming up next on Disney XD, all that stuff.
What?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So it is kind of its own thing. And actually, when I was reading for that, they wanted to make sure that it didn't sound like Marco Diaz was doing the promos for the channel, which Marco's voice is a couple octaves higher than mine, and it definitely doesn't sound similar, but they kind of put you through the ringer to make sure that they're
distinctively
doing their due
different
diligence to get what they want.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Well, and Marco,
So,
you sound so young as Marco. It's like, and that's one of the amazing things about a voice actor is that they're just able to do all kinds of crazy cool things with their voices and tweak them around, so.
Yeah, I'm the crazy guy who talks to himself all the time, just finding new places to hold my mouth, to create new voice, and all that stuff. It's I'm always talking to myself.
Well, without that constant practice, you don't have that, next epiphany of a new voice that could be the next big star on the next big show,
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Well, Adam, how can people reach out to you? Do you have social media or a website or both, perhaps?
Yeah, I kind of have everything.
Awesome.
On Instagram, I'm NinjaMac at NinjaMac, and it's NinjaMac. At Twitter, you can find me at _Adam M. You can also, if you want to check out my website, it's adam-macarthur.com. And yeah, I mean, I try and stay pretty active on the socials. So,
Absolutely.
People want to reach out and message me or tweet me or whatever. I'm pretty much seeing everything.
Pretty cool, man. Thanks so much for sharing all of that. And, I always love to give that info out if at all possible so that the fans who don't know now know how to get a hold of you and say, oh my gosh, I absolutely love your work or whatever they want to say. So thanks so much for sharing that. Yeah, you're welcome. You're most welcome. Well, Adam, I have 2 final questions for you, man, and we will wrap this interview up. Are you ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
All right, man. The first of the 2 is, what kind of advice would you give to an aspiring actor or actress who's looking at joining this world of acting, but more specifically the niche within acting of voiceover itself?
Okay. Yeah, awesome. First and foremost, it's super important to get in class, find an acting class. A lot of times people ask me when they find out that I do a lot of voiceover work, they're like, oh, that's great, but do you want to be a real actor? And I'm like,
That's so funny.
Let me tell you something. It is real acting. It is actually real acting. So I would say, whether you're on camera or behind the mic, it's super important to, work on your skills and constantly be honing your craft and find things that work for you and don't work for you. So getting in class is super important. Specifically advice to get into voiceover. I already mentioned D. Bradley Baker earlier, but he gets questions all the time. So what he did was, and this is super amazing, is he created a website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com.
Awesome.
And it's essentially a hub for any and all questions that you could have voiceover related. And so first piece of advice, go get in some acting classes, start, developing your skills. Second piece of advice, voiceover specifically, go to iwanttobeavoiceactor.com, read every single word on that website. When you finished, go through and read it again, because everything and anything you would want to know about being a voice actor, from the reality of it and the difficulty of it, to the amazingness of it, is all laid out really nicely on that website.
Awesome. And you said that was from D. Bradley Baker, right?
Yep, that's correct.
I believe he was Olmec from the old Hidden Temple. What was that game on Nickelodeon? Temples of the Hidden.
Yep.
I'm totally blanking.
Legends
It was
of the Hidden Temple.
Legends of the Hidden Temple. Yeah, it was one of my absolute favorite games of all time. But he's a crazy talented actor too, and that's really cool that he has created that resource for those interested in voiceover itself. That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's very helpful. Occasionally I look at it and I'm like, oh, maybe I should. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of great info on that website.
Well, the one thing I've learned, Adam, through doing this show as long as I have, is you can never learn enough, and there's always more to learn.
Yep, that's a great attitude to have. I think when you think like that, that's going to do nothing but set you up for success.
Well, Adam, it's been awesome having you on the show. I've got one final question for you, and the question is, what is the legacy that you want to leave behind?
Oh, that's a great question. I would love to be remembered as a guy who not only did his job well and who voiced a lot of characters that people will remember from their childhood, or that they connected with.
Yeah.
But I would like to be remembered, and part of this comes from just how interactive I am with people on social media and stuff like that. But I would like to really be remembered as someone who was always positive, who was nice even when people might not be nice, and because there's always the naysayers on social media. But I try and take it with a grain of salt and and connect with those people as opposed to push them away. But I'd like to be remembered as someone who, you know, was always positive, brought some joy to some people's lives, and was the voice of a lot of characters from their childhood.
Absolutely.
That would be a good legacy.
I think that would be an amazing legacy, Adam. You know, I can't thank you enough for being on the show and for giving me some of your valuable time today, man. It's been absolutely fun chatting with you today.
Yeah, it's been awesome. I appreciate you having me on here. It means a lot.
Absolutely, brother. Well, hey, you know, it has been an absolute honor and pleasure having you on the show. Would you give us a special closeout today as we wrap up as Marco Diaz from Star vs. the Forces of Evil?
Yeah, of course. Well, I just want to thank everybody so much for being here today. And make sure you tune in next time for Who Did That Voice? This has been Adam McArthur on Who Did That Voice?
Well, everyone, I sure hope you enjoyed today's episode with Adam McArthur, the voice of Lee Char from Star Wars The Clone Wars, and the voice of Marco Diaz from Star vs. the Forces of Evil. And if you did, please find me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram by searching for Who Did That Voice. And don't forget to like, comment, and share. For those of you listening on YouTube, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the little bell notification on the right-hand side so you don't miss out on a single episode. I've been your host, Trenton Larkin, and I'll see you next time. You know, a question you might ask yourself is, where can I listen to Who Did That Voice? That's an excellent question. You can hear us on iTunes, Stitcher Radio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube, and our website at www.whodidthatvoice.co. Click the Episodes tab and listen away. Well, everyone, that's all the time we have for this episode. Join us next time for our special guest, Vanessa Marshall, the voice of Hera from Star Wars Rebels. You won't want to miss this episode. Hey, do you ask yourself who did that voice? Well, if you do, go to our website, www.whodidthatvoice.co, and click on the Episodes tab. Choose an actor, pick their name, and see pictures from the different characters they've voiced in their career.
Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time for more discoveries on Who Did That Voice.